gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang. Spread their racks on new chain. My love do. I forgot name.
Hey y'all, I was supposed to put this video out, but my son wasn't having it. Like, he was not going to sleep. So I'm basically tell y'all about when I found out I was pregnant and give y'all my labor and birth experience. So basically it was 2015, and excuse me, I had just like got out of a relationship with a guy I was on and off with for like 3 years, and it just wasn't working. Like, we was arguing too much, and we was young, so we was like, you know, we had lived together already, had our first apartment together, but it just was not working out. So me and him broke up, and in the process of, you know, me and him breaking up, me trying to get over him and, you know, trying to move on at the same time, I met my son's dad. And I started working at 7-Eleven, and actually got the job from one of my friends at the time. And she was like, you know, we hiring, just, you know, put your app in, I can get you in like next week. So I put the app in, they called back, I had the interview, and they got hired on the spot. And basically I ended up getting really close with this girl, Kristen, that worked there. And when me and, you know, Kristen started hanging out, she was actually dating my son's father's brother. And she actually kind of, I mean, I wouldn't say she introduced me to my son's dad, because, you know, we all work together. But, you know, she kind of started having us hang out more and stuff. She basically was playing soul matchmaker. And basically, you know, her birthday had came up. And me and my son's dad was talking like for a couple months, but it was nothing serious. Like, we was kind of hinting at each other that we liked each other, but we didn't really like talk. And basically Kristen's birthday came up, and, you know, we was all at my son's dad's mom's house hanging out and everything. Like, we was drinking and having a good time and hanging out. And this was back in, well, this happened in February. We started talking in December. Like, we actually started dating in December. And I mean, yeah, of course, obviously we were sexually active, we were having sex and stuff, but, you know, I didn't think like I would get pregnant, especially because me and my ex, like, basically we had never used protection. Like, the whole time we was together, we didn't really use protection, and I never got pregnant. So, you know, I didn't think like, oh, I'm gonna have sex and I'm gonna get pregnant. And then I had just gotten off of birth control, like Depo, previously, like a couple months before that. So, you know, I'm still thinking that, you know, Depo takes a minute to get out of your system. So I'm still thinking like, it's in my system, I'm not gonna get pregnant, da da da. And basically that was in December. So we're gonna fast forward to February. We was at, you know, the house for her birthday party. We was all drinking, having a good time, and we ended up having sex. And I'm pretty sure, like, I know exactly the date that I got pregnant, because we was all over there. Like, it was right before Valentine's Day. We was all at the house hanging out, and you know, that happened. We had sex and then, you know, we was good after that. Like, you know, we was going to work and stuff. And that was on the 11th. Like, that, it said, when I went to the doctors, it said I conceived on the 11th of February. So fast forward to when I found out I was pregnant. My period, like, every time my period comes, I always cramp a week before my period. Like, I be having the worst cramps right before my period. And my period was supposed to start February 25th. And, you know, I was noticing like, I'm not cramping this month. Like, that's weird. So then I'm like, it's the 24th. Like, usually if my period is supposed to start the 25th, it'll start the night before going into that morning. And I went to bed, wasn't cramping. I put a pad on just in case. I'm like, well, sometimes it comes when I'm asleep. So I put a pad on, woke up the next morning, nothing. I'm like, all right. Oh, let me go get a pregnancy test. So I went and I went and told my mom. I went upstairs and told my mom I had to go to the store to get some juice. And I went to the dollar store around the corner and got, I bought 2 pregnancy tests. And like, a part of me had a feeling like I wasn't. Like, a part of me was like, you ain't pregnant, your period just off because you just got off that Depo, da da da. So I took the test, and like it was positive. Like it was positive. I'm like, whoa, all right. And it was just like so many different emotions. Like I was happy, I was scared, I was excited, I was worried. Like it was so many emotions. I started crying, then I was like praying. Like it was I was everywhere. And the first person I called was Kristen, and I left her a voicemail like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. And she didn't call back for a while because she was at work. So the next person I called was my brother Jimmy's girlfriend, Brittany. And I called her because she was pregnant at the time. And I called her and I was like, Britt, I'm pregnant. She was like, what? No, you're not. And I sent her the text. She was like, oh my God, yeah, you are. I was like, yeah. She was like, did you tell mom? I'm like, no. So she's like, well, put me in your pocket. I want to go. I want to be in your pocket when you tell her. So Brittany was literally in my sweatpants pocket when I told my mom I was pregnant. And like, it was weird. I was 19 when I got pregnant, and I was almost 21 or 20. I turned 20 that May. I found out I was pregnant in February. So I like went upstairs and was like, mom, like it was so weird because most kids are scared to tell their mom out like they was pregnant, but I guess it was because like I had a job. Like at the time I had a good job. Like I had a good job at the time, and you know, I was getting paid weekly. I was happy. I wasn't really struggling, and I wasn't worried. Like I wasn't scared to tell her. So I just went upstairs like, I gotta tell you something. She was like, well, what is it? And she was asleep. And my mom always say, don't try to tell me nothing important when I'm asleep. But I literally was like, I'm pregnant. She was like, oh, are you? I was like, yeah. And then she just kind of sat there for a minute and it was kind of silent. Then she's like, well, guess you better make your doctor's appointment. And she rolled back over and went back to sleep. I'm like, oh, that was easy. So yeah, I was like, all right. So I went downstairs and she called me back up and was like, well, did you tell Brian? I said, no, not yet. She was like, well, you need to take the car and go over there and talk to him. I said, okay. So I took the car, and he lived around the corner from me. So I drove over to his house, and, I text him like, I got to talk to you. We got to talk. He was like, about what? And I was like, I'll talk to you when I get there. He was like, all right, everything okay? I was like, I'll talk to you when I get there. So I walked in the house, and he was in the back room, like he was in his room. So I walked to the back and I was like, yeah. And I just kind of took the pregnancy test out and like kind of threw it on the bed. And he was like, what's this? I was like, a pregnancy test. He was like, what's this mean? In my head, I'm like, nah, boy, you got 3 kids. Like, you know what a pregnancy test is. He was like, so wait, you pregnant? I was like, yep. And his first words was, fuck. I was like, yep, that's what I thought too. But it was like after that he got excited, like he was kissing my belly and he was like, you really pregnant? I was like, yeah. And he was excited, and we was okay for the next like almost week. And we just started arguing real bad because he didn't want me to tell nobody on Facebook that I was pregnant. And I didn't know at the time. He was still talking to his other kid's mom, and they were still sexually active, and I didn't know. So he was basically cheating on her, and I wasn't like aware of the fact that they were still sleeping together. So of course he was like, don't post nothing on Facebook. But me being in my first baby and my first pregnancy, I was excited. So I didn't post nothing right then. I waited like 2 weeks before I posted something. And I kind of told him like, it's my pregnancy. If I want to post it, I should be able to. I'm excited about it. And he started calling me on my name and everything, and was like, you're stupid, you're fucking retarded, that ain't my baby. Like, he instantly started denying my son. It was crazy how quick he switched. Like, it was like a light. Like, he switched so quick. And I ended up going to the clinic the next morning to confirm it. And it was confirmed. They came back in like, well, you are definitely pregnant. So, reality set in like, damn, all right. And they didn't tell me how far I was yet because, you usually have to find out at your first appointment. So I made my appointment, but they want you to usually be 8 weeks before your first appointment. And based off my last period, I was only like a month. So, I ended up, I did, like, after that, I'm gonna fast forward a couple weeks, and at the time now I'm like maybe 5 weeks, and I just started like the morning sickness just hit me out of nowhere. Like, man, like everything I smelled, it was just terrible. Come here, Amir, with your creepy butt. Come here. Come here, creep. So, like, everything just kind of, shh, be quiet. Everything just kind of like hit me out of nowhere as far as the morning sickness and, you know, everything. Like, I couldn't eat. I remember my mom had made like my favorite dinner and she put it on the couch next to me and I almost threw up. Like, but it was crazy because I never threw up the whole time I was pregnant. I never actually threw up. And you know, I started like getting sick and stuff, but I wasn't actually like throwing up. I was just getting nauseous. And then I started, it's TMI, but I started having like really bad like diarrhea, and I was cramping real bad. So, you know, I basically told my mom, like, I think I need to go to the hospital. And she took me to the hospital. And, you know, my friend James had went with me. And when I got to the hospital, they set me up and everything. And they did my blood work. And they came back in and was like, well, we're going to take you and find out how far I was. So I went to the back and they started to do my ultrasound, and they had to do a transvaginal one because I wasn't that far. So she gave me my ultrasound and was like, well, you're 5 weeks and 6 days. I was like, okay. And then she told me my due date and everything, and my original due date was November 2nd. So, you know, I text Brian and let him know what the due date was. But at this time, we had like broke up. So I'm gonna tell y'all why we broke up. Basically, after I went to the clinic, the day after I found out I was pregnant, they confirmed it. I basically started, like, I wasn't posting that I was pregnant on Facebook, but I told like my friends and family and stuff. And about a week later, I posted it on Facebook, and he flipped out. Like, oh my God. But I'm not gonna tell y'all like all of the stuff that he said to me and did to me, but like, just know that I ended up breaking up with him that day and like telling him like I didn't want to be with him no more. And like after that, I literally did not like see my son's dad the whole time I was pregnant. Like, I barely talked to him my whole pregnancy. But when like we did talk, like he would harass me and stuff. Like, he would text me and tell me he was gonna blow my house up, and you know, he would tell me that he was gonna kill me and make me have a miscarriage, and like he just said some sick stuff. He threatened because we were still working out like the same place, and he would tell me like he was gonna have his other baby mama jump me when I got out of work, and just like a whole bunch of stupid crap. And I ended up quitting the job because, you know, my stomach, because I was cramping so much. Like, my first try, my doctor, she didn't tell me I was high risk, but she kind of did tell me to like take it easy. So I ended up quitting my job and getting another job at the airport that was basically like, you know, way more relaxed. So yeah, after that, you know, we didn't talk. You know, I basically told him I didn't want nothing to do with him, and he would kind of pop in and out my life. Like, the rest of my pregnancy, he kind of popped in and out. Like, he would be nice one day and how you feel, and then the next day, you're a bitch, da da da, and like it was just back and forth. So I you know, fast forward to when I went into labor. His mom, well, actually no, rewind. His mom didn't know I was pregnant. Like, he never told his mom. So I ended up posting something, and she was like, you know, give me a call, I want to ask you something. And I called her and was like, what's up? Like, me and his mom didn't really have a like close relationship. We was cool when I was with him, but we didn't really have a close relationship. So she's like, well, what's been going on, da da da. And I was like, well, I'm just trying to plan my baby shower right now. She was like, wait, baby shower? I'm like, yeah. She was like, is it Brian's? I was like, yeah. She was like, wait, how far are you? And I was like, 7 months. She was like, get the fuck out of here. No, you are not. I was like, yeah, I am. I'm doing November, I mean. And she was like, oh my God. So by now they had changed my due date to November 4th. And she was just like freaking out, like, oh my God, are you serious? And I was sending her pictures of my stomach and stuff. She was like, oh my God. I was like, Brian didn't tell you? She was like, no, he didn't tell me nothing. Which I wasn't really surprised. I wasn't like really surprised because he didn't really tell his mom when his other baby mama was pregnant. Like, he told her, like, late as heck. Like, with one of the kids, he didn't tell her at all. And then this, like, the other one, he told her when she was in labor. And then the other one, he told her when she was like 8 months. So I wasn't surprised that he didn't tell her that I was pregnant. So anyway, you know, moving on to when I was in labor. I was so tired, y'all. Like, I was so ready for him to get out of me. Like, I wanted him to get out. And basically, you know, man, I keep skipping stuff. No. So when I found out what I was having, my bad, y'all, I didn't practice this story. I'm just telling y'all because y'all keep asking me. But basically, when I found out what I was having, I was 15 weeks, and I went to this place called Baby and Vision in Troy, and it's a 4D ultrasound place. And my mom, at first I thought I was going to like get to find out what I was having, and my mom told me when I got there, like, you're not finding out till your birthday. I was 15 weeks on May 14th, which was Mother's Day. I was exactly 15 weeks on Mother's Day. So I found out technically what I was having on Mother's Day, but I didn't find out till my birthday, my 21st birthday, 2 days later. So, you know, I saw the baby on the ultrasound, and then the doctor was like, oh yeah, that's definitely the sex I think it is. And I was like, okay. But my mom told her, like, don't tell me, just put the, you know, put it in the envelope. So, oh my God, this is so funny. So I was like kind of trying to get my mama to tell me, and she would not tell me. So I was pissed because I wanted a boy. I wanted a boy really bad, and I kept saying like it was a boy. Like, from the time I found out I was pregnant up until I found out what I was having, I was like, it's a boy, it's a boy. I called a mirror him like the whole pregnancy. And I was in my room, and one of my friends was like, come over and hang out. And I was like, okay, because it was Mother's Day. So I went to her house and was hanging out, and I text my mom like, I'm about to come home. She was like, wait, don't come home yet. I'm like, but I want to come home. Like, I want to go to bed. She was like, no, you got to stay where you are. I was like, why? She was like, you just got to stay where you are. So I knew she was planning me a reveal party, but I didn't know when. So I walked in the house. I told her I was coming home. She was like, well, just don't go in the kitchen. But I didn't get the text because my phone had died. So as soon as I walked in the house, I went in the kitchen and I seen the purple cake mix. Oh my God, I went off. I was like, I'm having a girl. I don't want a fucking girl. I was so mad. I went in my room and started bawling my eyes out. And my mom came in there like, well, girls aren't that bad. Like, she was playing it off. Like, she knew I wasn't having a girl, but she was messing with me. So she's like, well, girls aren't that bad. It's gonna be okay. And I was like, no, I didn't want no girl. I was so hurt. And you know, the next day, the 15th, my cousin Jordan started texting me, and she was like, hey, you're gonna come to you know, you're gonna come to little man's birthday party tomorrow, right? And I was like, no, you know tomorrow's my birthday. She was like, I know, but you know, you gonna come to the house, right? And I was pissed because this whole time, like, I felt like I was trying so hard to do something fun for my birthday, and nobody was like trying to help me plan nothing. And I was getting irritated because I was pregnant, and it was my 21st birthday, and I couldn't drink, so I was already irritated. And then I was like, bro. So my mom basically had to drag me out the house on my birthday to go to my cousin's for what I thought was my little cousin Kyan's birthday. No, I thought it was my little cousin Cody's birthday. So I got there, and you know, I'm sitting in the living room talking to my family and stuff, and they all went in the kitchen, and I was like, why everybody in the kitchen? So I had an attitude already because I didn't really want to be there. And my mom came in there. My mom actually came into the kitchen and was like, she came in the living room and was like, we got something for you. And I was like, for me? She was like, yeah. I was like, well, what is it? And she didn't really, like, she didn't say. She was just like, well, come look. So I went in there, and it was a cake. And yeah, I'm not gonna really get into that video. I'm not gonna get into the details. I'm gonna just post the video. I'm probably gonna, I don't know if I'm gonna post it in this video. Well, I don't think I can. I don't think I can post it in this one, but I can probably go on my Facebook and save it to my laptop and post it like in another video. But basically, I got what I wanted. I was having a boy, and I was like extra excited and happy. So, like, I was trying real hard to go into labor. Like, nothing, it wasn't working. Like, nothing was working. I tried pineapple, castor oil, dancing. Like, nothing was working, bro. I was so irritated because I wanted him out. I was in so much pain. My pelvis was hurting. I was fat. I was like, I'm done with this. I was so ready for him to come out. And I was going on Facebook, and one of my friends, Alea, was pregnant with me. Her daughter is actually a month older than my son. And she was like, you should do the baby mama dance, which I'm sure y'all have seen that video on my YouTube. And I did the dance. Now, I did the dance on October 29th. I had went to the doctor's, like, I want to say October 25th. It was a Tuesday, and I had a mirror on a Saturday. And I went to the doctor's, and they was like, well, you're not dilated, and you're closed, and you're high. I was like, oh my God, he's never going to come out. So I went home, and I was like, I'm so sick of this crap. I just want this baby out. So, you know, the next day, I just kind of was like, you know what, forget it. So I did the dance. I did the dance on the 29th. So I did the dance Thursday night. My doctor's appointment was that previous Tuesday. I did the dance Thursday night, and it was like maybe, well, it wasn't even at night. It was like 3:49 in the afternoon. And I did the dance, and that night I started cramping. But there wasn't like sharp contractions. They was just like little cramps. And then the next morning, my mucus plug fell out. I was like, oh, snap. My mucus plug fell out. Like, it wasn't a lot, but it was enough. So I was like, uh-oh. And literally, when I tell y'all them contractions started coming, like, I was in the bed, and I was just so uncomfortable. And I looked at my mom like, I think it's time. We need to go to the doctor's. Now, this was on the 30th. And I ended up going to the hospital at, like, maybe 9:30 at night. Well, no, it was probably 8 something at night, because I was there for a minute. And I got there, and she checked me. She was like, well, you're 1 centimeter, and you're like 30% effaced. I was like, that's it? So she was like, well, we're not seeing your contractions on the monitor. They're not strong enough, so we want you to just walk around for an hour and see if you dilate anymore. So I was like, all right, because anybody know, like, once you hit 5 centimeters, you're considered active labor. So, I'm sorry, I wasn't 1 centimeter. I was 3 centimeters when I got to the hospital. I was at a 3. And when she started, like, she wanted me to walk around and stuff, and my contractions literally, when I tell y'all they stopped, I was so mad, like, really, Amir, like, you playing, bro. And my contractions just stopped out of nowhere. Like, they just, like, stone cold just stopped. And, you know, some hours had went by. By now, it was like about 2:40 something in the morning, and they discharged me. I was like, ugh. Y'all, I got home at like 4 o'clock in the morning. When I tell y'all, I could not sleep. Them contractions was coming back to back, and they was real contractions this time. I was just in a bed, like, timing them with my calculator, just timing them, like, bro, these boys come in every 3 minutes. So I remember I was on my hands and knees in my bed, and I was just rocking my hips back and forth, and all night I just kept waking up, kept timing them, and they was getting closer and closer. So basically, I was really proud of myself, because I basically did my whole labor at home, and I did my whole labor, like, basically by myself. Like, I was bouncing on the ball, I was rocking back and forth, I was breathing, but I really did my entire labor at home by myself, like, in my room. And for that to be my first baby, like, I was really proud of myself. So, you know, I'm rocking back and forth and everything, and I rocked to the right, and I heard pop, and then I felt it pop, and next thing I know, it was just water just running down my leg. I'm like, okay, I think my water just broke, but I'm having contractions in between, so I'm trying to get up and go to the bathroom, because I felt like it was weird, like, my water broke, and then I felt like I had to pee. So I ran, like, I didn't run, but I was like trying to run to the bathroom, and I peed. And when I peed, the rest of my mucus plug came out, but it was blood, so it freaked me out. So I was like, Mom, and she ran to the bathroom. She was like, what's wrong, honey? By now, it was like 8:30 in the morning. And I was like, my water just broke. She was like, okay. And the doctor, before she discharged me, had told my mom, like, you'll know when it's real labor, because her whole mood is going to change. And I was in the hospital, like, the night before, I was in the hospital, like, happy and stuff. She was like, you ain't going to be acting like that. So my mom looked at me on the toilet. She was like, yeah, it's time. And I was just sitting on the toilet like this, like, I can't move. And them contractions was coming back to back. I could not get up. My mom was like, when did your water break? I said, about 10 minutes ago. She was like, have you timed your contractions? I said, yeah. And she kind of stood there for a minute and watched me, and she was like, oh no, they coming close like that, we need to go. When I tell y'all, my contractions was literally coming every 30 minutes or every 30 seconds, and they was lasting for like a minute, like between 30 and 60 seconds. But they was coming every 30 seconds. And my mom was like, we gotta go. I was on the floor, like, I can't get up. My mom had to help me get dressed. And she had to help me change my underwear and stuff because I had, like, my water broke. So she had me put on a panty liner and stuff. And, man, we was in a car and she was flying down the street. I was in a car like, they heard. She was going over bumps and junk. She had her hazards on, flying through the red lights. Like, she was not playing. My mama was on a mission, bro. So I got to the hospital. By now, it's early into Halloween morning. And I got to the hospital at 10 o'clock. And when I got there, they was like, what's going on? I said, my water broke. My mom was trying to answer the questions for me. I was trying to fill the paperwork out. And it was just like a lot going on at one time. And they put me in the clinic area where they check you and stuff. She was like, well, we just want to look and see like if it's really your water. And I was like, I have a panty liner on. So, you know, I kind of pulled my pants down and she looked and she was like, oh, yep, that's light pink fluid. That's definitely your water. And she was like, can we check you? I was like, yeah. So she checked me. I was at 5 centimeters. So I was considered active labor now. She was like, well, you're 5 centimeters and 70%. So they were able to admit me into the hospital. Y'all, when I tell y'all my labor went so quick, I don't even remember. Like, it literally went that quick. I got into my room at 10:30 and I was doing so good. Like, the only person in the room with me was my doctors and my mom. I didn't want nobody else in there. And my best friend was supposed to be in the room with me, but by the time she found out I was in labor, because I wasn't like them girls that be texting and on Facebook the whole time. I didn't want shit to do with my phone. I didn't want shit to do with my mama for real. I didn't care about them doctors. I just wanted this baby out. And I did all natural, so I was like, get him out. I don't care about who texted me. And the whole time I'm in labor, my mom's like, so-and-so said. I'm like, I don't give a fuck what they said, bro. Like, I don't care. But I did really good. Like, my labor, I didn't scream. I didn't yell at nobody. I didn't cry. I wasn't loud. Like, I did really good for that to be my first kid. So, you know, it's 10:30 now, and the doctors came in, and she was like, we're going to check you. And I was a 6. So they gave me some medicine to help me sleep. It was a pain medicine, but it wasn't an not ibuprofen. It wasn't an epidural. And they kept asking me, like, do you want an epidural? And my mama kept saying no. She wanted to do natural. Don't stop asking her if she wants an epidural. My mom was getting frustrated because they was literally asking me, like, every 30 minutes, like, do you want an epidural? And I was like, no. And they kept asking me. And I was just like, bro, I just want it over. So I remember my doctor came. Well, my doctor wasn't there yet. But the nurse came in and was like, I'm going to check you again, okay? Like, 30 minutes had went by. So now it's like 12:30. And she checked me and was like, okay, you're a 7. I was like, I'm still a 7. She was like, you're a 7. You know, try to rest. You should be able to push in the next hour or two. I was like, okay. When I tell y'all, she took her hand out of me and I literally was like, I gotta push. She was like, what? No, you're only a 7. I said, no, I have to push. I'm telling you, I have to push. I have to push. She was like, sweetie, you're a 7. You can't push yet. I was like, look, I'm telling you, I gotta push. Like, y'all, when I tell y'all it was so much pressure, I was like, oh my God, I need to push. And right after I said I needed to push, I felt like I had to throw up. And I was like, I gotta throw up. And they call it the transition stage, when you transfer from whatever you was at to a 10 and you're ready to push. You usually throw up. And they gave me the bucket and I was like gagging, but nothing came up. And my mom was like, yeah, it might be time. So they checked me. This was literally like not even 5 minutes after she checked me the first time. And she was like, whoa, you're a 10 and you're 100% and you are ready to push. I was like, I told you I was ready to push. And she was kind of whispering to the other doctor. I'm like, what's the problem? I need to push. She was like, her doctor's not here yet. The lady that delivered Amir, Dr. Kostovic, was nowhere to be found, bro. She was at home in the shower. Like, yeah, they had to call her like, Dr. Kostovic, it's time. By now, Amir's head was dang near hanging out. And they was sitting there. I remember the doctor was like, don't push, just... My mom was like, you can't push. I was like, fuck what y'all talking about. I'm about to push. So I remember grabbing my legs and I got ready to start pushing. They was like, no, don't push. I'm like, fuck what y'all talking about, bro. And my doctor like ran in there, literally had soap still in her hair. And she was like, I knew he was coming, but I didn't know he was coming today. And I had a doctor sitting at the end of the bed holding Amir's head in like, he's coming. And she lifted the cover up and was like, oh, yep, you can push. I pushed that one time, his head came out. I pushed that second time and the rest of him came out. When I tell y'all my labor was so quick, it was so easy. It wasn't painless, but I would do my labor all over again. It was the easiest, like, that was like such an easy labor. I literally got to the hospital at 10 and I had him at 12:49. So, excuse me. So within 10 minutes of her checking me and I was a 7, I had him. Like, that's how quick my stuff went. And like a lot of people talk about having to get like cut because the baby head or shoulders won't fit. I didn't have to get cut. I didn't tear, like none of that. I literally went home the next morning. I had a very, very easy labor. And that's because I worked my entire pregnancy. I went to school, and I exercised. I was very active, and I was very healthy. So my labor was that quick. And, I went home and stuff. And, like, after that, I was breastfeeding, and it was crazy, y'all. Like, I still be like, dang, I can't believe I got a baby. And then he just turned 2 on Halloween. So I'm like, wow, my baby's 2 already. Like, yeah, I loved my labor. Like, I hear stories about women, like, my labor was terrible. I was in labor 48 hours. How long were you in labor? I'll be like, 5 hours. And they be hating me. So, yeah, I will definitely post the other videos. Well, my reveal, I will post my reveal. And then if you have not actually seen my birth video, it is on my page. The video of like all of my pictures from the whole time when I found out I was pregnant up until I had him. There is a video to that as well on my page. And the dance to me going into labor is also on my page. So I hope y'all like the video. And I'm about to go yell at Amir because he keeps getting out the bed, and he's supposed to be in the bed at 9 o'clock. And he thinks this is a joke. He thinks this is a game. So.